You connected your expensive soundbar or AV receiver to your TV with an HDMI cable. You assume everything is working at maximum quality. But right now, you're probably getting compressed audio that's barely better than what basic ARC delivered 5 years ago. The audio difference between doing eARC wrong and doing it right is absolutely massive. And I'm about to show you exactly what you're missing and how to fix it in the next 20 minutes. Before we dive into the specific mistakes destroying your audio quality and the correct setup that unlocks full uncompressed sound, hit that subscribe button and drop a like if you want the truth about home theater tech. Comment below and tell me what soundbar or receiver you're using right now and whether you've actually verified that eARC is working or just assumed it was. What eARC actually is and why it matters? Let me start by explaining what eARC is supposed to do, because most people think it's just a newer version of ARC that works automatically. eARC stands for Enhanced Audio Return Channel, and it's a feature of HDMI 2.1 that dramatically expands the bandwidth available for sending audio from your TV back to your soundbar or AV receiver. This matters because modern TVs are the hub of your entertainment system. You're watching Netflix, Disney+, YouTube, and playing games through apps built into the TV. That audio needs to get from the TV to your sound system. Regular ARC, which has been around since HDMI 1.4, has a maximum bandwidth of about 1 megabit per second. This is enough for compressed Dolby Digital or DTs. But it cannot handle uncompressed audio or advanced formats like Dolby True HD, DT's HD Master Audio, or full-quality Dolby Atmos. When you try to send these formats through regular ARC, they get compressed down to basic Dolby Digital, losing enormous amounts of audio quality. eARC increases that bandwidth to 37 megabits per second, a 37 times increase. This allows uncompressed audio, lossless surround formats, and object-based Atmos to pass from your TV to your sound system without quality loss. The difference isn't subtle. It's the difference between compressed MP3 quality audio and lossless CD quality. It's the difference between fake Atmos and real Atmos with precise overhead positioning. It's the difference between stereo and genuine multi-channel surround sound. The automatic assumption killing your audio? Here's the critical mistake almost everyone makes. You buy a TV and soundbar that both support eARC. You connect them with an HDMI cable. You assume that because both devices support the feature, it's working automatically. In reality, eARC requires explicit configuration in both the TV settings and the audio device settings. Without these settings enabled correctly, you're getting regular ARC quality even though your equipment is capable of so much more. I see this constantly in forums and support threads. Someone complains that their Dolby Atmos soundbar doesn't sound any different than their old soundbar. They're watching Atmos content on Netflix, their soundbar claims it's playing Atmos, but the overhead effects are non-existent and the sound is flat. 9 times out of 10, the problem is that eARC isn't actually active. The TV is sending compressed Dolby Digital through regular ARC, the soundbar is upmixing it to fake Atmos, and the person is hearing processed compressed audio instead of the lossless Atmos they paid for. The fix requires understanding 5 specific mistakes that prevent eARC from working, and then following a proper setup sequence that most people do backwards. Mistake 1. Wrong HDMI port. Every modern TV has multiple HDMI ports, but only one supports eARC. This port is usually labeled on the TV itself, often as HDMI eARC or HDMI ARC with a small note that it supports eARC. It's typically HDMI port 1 or 2, but this varies by manufacturer. Some TVs hide the ARC port as the last port, HDMI 4. You need to check your TV's manual or look closely at the port labels. If you connect your soundbar or receiver to any other HDMI port, ARC will not function. You'll get video if you're passing sources through the soundbar, but the audio return channel won't work at all or will fall back to regular ARC. This is an easy mistake to make because all the HDMI ports look identical. You grab any cable, plug into any port, and assume it's fine. It's not fine. Find the specific eARC port and use only that one for your audio system. Mistake 2. HDMI and SEC not enabled. eARC requires HDMI CC to be enabled on both your TV and your audio device. SEC-C stands for Consumer Electronics Control, and it's the feature that allows devices to communicate and control each other through the HDMI connection. Every manufacturer has a proprietary name for it. Samsung calls it AnyNet Plus. LG calls it SimpLink. Sony calls it Bravia Sync. Vizio calls it SEC. They're all the same underlying technology. Without SEC enabled, eARC cannot establish the necessary handshake between your TV and soundbar. The devices don't properly recognize each other's capabilities, and the connection falls back to basic ARC or doesn't work at all. You need to go into your TV settings, find the external device or connection menu, and enable whichever name your manufacturer uses for SEC. Then do the same on your soundbar or receiver. Both devices must have SEC active for ARC to function. Mistake 3, wrong audio output format. This is the setting that catches the most people. Your TV has an audio output format setting that determines how it sends audio to external devices. The exact location and naming of this setting varies by brand, but it's usually in the sound or audio menu. The critical thing is that this must be set to allow pass-through of advanced formats, not forced to PCM. PCM stands for Pulse Code Modulation, and it's a way of converting audio into a standard, uncompressed format. When your TV is set to output PCM, it decodes all incoming audio itself and sends basic 2-channel or multi-channel PCM to your soundbar. This strips out Dolby Atmos metadata, removes object-based positioning, and prevents your soundbar from receiving the original encoded audio stream. Even though PCM is technically uncompressed, it's limited to the channels your TV can decode and doesn't preserve advanced format features. The correct setting is usually called Auto, Pass-Through, Bitstream, or eARC. This tells the TV to send the original encoded audio stream without decoding it, allowing your soundbar or receiver to handle the decoding. When set correctly, Dolby Atmos content stays as Dolby Atmos all the way to your sound system. When set wrong to PCM, that same content gets converted to basic multi-channel audio with no Atmos. Mistake 4. Using wrong HDMI cables. Not all HDMI cables are created equal, and while any HDMI cable will physically fit and create a connection, older or cheaper cables don't have the bandwidth to carry full eARC signals. You need what's called a high-speed HDMI cable at minimum, and ideally an HDMI 2.1 certified cable for guaranteed full eARC bandwidth. Those old HDMI cables you've been using since 2010, or the cheap ones that came free with devices, might establish an ARC connection, but they could be limiting bandwidth and causing dropouts or quality reduction. HDMI 2.1 certified cables aren't expensive, usually $10 to $20 for quality options. Using a proper cable eliminates one potential point of failure in the eARC chain. Mistake 5, wrong setup order. This is the mistake that seems pedantic but makes a real difference in whether eARC establishes correctly. Most people connect cables while devices are on, change settings while everything is powered up, and wonder why things don't work right. HDMI connections, especially for advanced features like eARC, require a proper handshake where devices identify each other's capabilities during initial connection. The correct sequence is to first configure all settings while devices are off or disconnected. Go into your TV settings and enable SEC. Set audio output to pass through. Enable eARC if there's a specific toggle. Power everything off completely. Connect the HDMI cable from the TV's eARC port to your soundbar or receiver's HDMI output. Turn on the TV first and let it fully boot. Then turn on your audio device and let it boot and establish connection. This sequence ensures that when the devices power on and communicate, they properly recognize each other's eARC capabilities and establish the enhanced connection rather than falling back to regular ARC. How to actually verify eARC is working? After following the correct setup, you need to verify that eARC is actually active, because the system won't necessarily tell you if something is wrong. The easiest check is to look at your TV's audio information display. Most TVs show current audio format somewhere in the settings or info menu. If ARC is working, it should explicitly say ARC or Enhanced ARC, not just ARC. Your soundbar or receiver will also display the incoming audio format on its screen or app. When playing Dolby Atmos content from Netflix or Disney Plus, your receiver should show Dolby Digital Plus with Atmos or Dolby Atmos, not just Dolby Digital. When playing a 4K Blu-ray with Dolby True HD, it should show True HD, not Dolby Digital. If you're only seeing compressed formats, eARC isn't working even if the connection appears active. The listening test is the most definitive verification. Play content you know has Dolby Atmos from a TV app. With eARC working correctly, you should hear distinct overhead effects, precise object positioning, and rich full-range audio. If it sounds like regular surround with no real height dimension, eARC isn't functioning and you're getting compressed audio. The audio quality you're missing, let me be specific about what proper eARC unlocks compared to what you're probably hearing now. With regular ARC sending compressed Dolby Digital, you're getting lossy audio at 640 kilobits per second maximum. This is comparable to highly compressed streaming quality. There's audible compression in the bass, dialogue can sound thin, and dynamic range is limited. With eARC sending uncompressed audio or lossless Dolby True HD, you're getting up to 18 megabits per second of audio data. Bass is deeper and tighter with more impact. Dialogue has body and natural timbre. The soundstage is wider with better separation between sounds. Dynamic range from whisper quiet to explosively loud is preserved. This isn't a 10% improvement, it's transformative. For Dolby Atmos specifically, regular ARC can sometimes pass compressed Dolby Digital Plus with Atmos, but the object-based metadata is limited and the overall quality is reduced. eARC with full Dolby True HD Atmos delivers every object with precise positioning, the full dynamic range the mixing engineer intended, and overhead effects that genuinely sound like they're coming from above rather than vaguely elevated. Why streaming services don't negate this? A common counterargument is that streaming services compress audio anyway, so eARC doesn't matter for Netflix or Disney Plus. This is partially true but misses important points. First, while streaming services do compress video and audio, they compress less when they detect higher bandwidth connections. eARC signals to the chain that high-quality audio is supported, sometimes resulting in better streaming quality. Second, even compressed streaming Atmos benefits enormously from proper eARC because it preserves the object metadata and multi-channel encoding. Without eARC, your TV might convert that streaming Atmos to stereo PCM. With eARC, the full multi-channel Atmos stream reaches your soundbar intact. Third, eARC matters enormously for local content and physical media. If you play 4K Blu-rays, use a gaming PC, or have local media files, eARC is the difference between compressed and lossless audio. For these sources, the quality improvement is undeniable. Most people use ARC wrong because they assume it works automatically, when in reality it requires specific settings: the correct HDMI port, proper cables, SEC-enabled, and correct setup sequence. When any of these pieces is wrong, you're getting compressed regular ARC quality even though your equipment supports so much better. The audio difference between wrong ARC and correct eARC is huge. Compressed versus uncompressed audio. Fake Atmos versus real Atmos. Stereo versus genuine surround. This isn't subtle. It's the difference between using your sound system at 30% capability versus 90%. If this video showed you the mistakes preventing eARC from working and how to finally set it up correctly for dramatically better audio, smash that like button and subscribe for more home theater truth. Drop a comment telling me whether eARC was working in your system or if you've been using regular ARC this whole time without knowing. Let's help each other unlock the audio quality we already paid for. Thanks for watching and enjoy the massive sound improvement you're about to hear once eARC is actually working.